Hello everyone, Class 8 NCERT History Chapter 1 How, When, and Where. How important are dates? There was a time when historians were fascinated with dates. There were heated debates about the dates on which rulers were crowned or battles were fought. In the common sense notion, history was synonymous with dates. You may have heard people say, I find history boring because it is all about memorizing dates. Is such a conception true? History is certainly about changes that occur over time. It is about finding out how things were in the past and how things have changed. As soon as we compare the past with the present, we refer to time. We talk or before and after. Living in the world, we do not always ask historical questions about what we see around us. We take things for granted, as if what we see has always been in the world we inhabit. But most of us have moments of wonder when we are curious and we ask questions that actually are historical. Watching someone sip a cup of tea at a roadside tea stall. You may wonder, when did people begin to drink tea or coffee? Looking out of the window of a train, you may ask yourself, when were railways built and how did people travel long distances before the age of railways? Reading the newspaper in the morning, you may be curious to know how people got to hear about things before newspapers began to be printed. Hindustan. Figure 1. Brahmins offering the sas activity. Look carefully figure 1 and write a paragraph explaining how this image project an imperial perception. Brahman, Brahmins offering the sastras to Britannia frontispices to the first map produced by James Rennell 1782. Rennell was asked by Robert Clive to produce maps of Hindustan. An enthusiastic supporter of British conquest of India, Rennell saw preparation of maps as essential to the process of dominations. The pictures here tries to struggle that Indians willingly gave over their ancient text to Britannia, the symbol of British power, as if asking her to become the protector of Indian culture. All such historical questions refers us back to notions of time, but time does not have to be always precisely dated in terms of a particular year of or a month. Sometimes it is actually incorrect to fix precise date to process that happen over a period of time. People in India did not begin drinking tea one fine day. They develop a taste for it over time. There can be no one clear date for a process such as this similarity. We cannot fix one single date on which British rule was established or the natural movement started. Our changes took place within the economy and society. All these things happened over a stretch of time. We can only refer to a span of time, an approximate period over which particular changes became visible. Why then do we continue to associate history with a string of dates? This association has a reason. There was a time when history was an account of battles and big events. It was about two rulers and their policies. Historians wrote about the year a king was crowned, the year he married, the year he had a child, the year he fought a particular war, the year he died, and the year the next ruler succeeded to the throne. For events such as these, specific dates can be determined. And in histories such as these, debates about dates continue to be important. As we have seen in the history textbook of the past 2 years, historians now write about a host of other issues and other questions. They look at how people earned their livelihood, what they produced and ate, how cities developed and markets came up, how kingdoms were formed and new ideas spread, and how cultures and society changed. Look at the figure 2. Advertisement help create taste. All advertisement has help us understand how market for new product were created and new tastes were popularized. This 1922 advertisement for Lipton tea suggests that royalty all over the world is associated with this tea. In the background, you see the outer wall of an Indian places, while in the foreground, seated on horseback, is the third son of Queen Victoria of Britain, Prince Arthur, who was given the little Duke of Connaught. Look, which dates, by what criteria do we choose a set of dates as important? The dates we select, the dates around which we compose our story of the past, are not important on their own. They become vital because we focuses on a particular set of events as important. If our focus of study changes, if we begin to look at new issues, a new set of dates will appear significant. Consider an example in the histories written by British historians in India. The rule of each governor general was important. These histories begin with the rule of the first governor general, Warren Hastings, and ended with the last viceroy, Lord Mountbatten. In this separate chapter, we read about the deeds of others: Hastings, Wellesley, Pentick, Dalhousie, Canning, Lawrence, Lytton, Ripon, Curzon, Harding, Irwin. It was a seemingly never ending succession of governor general and viceroys. All the dates in the history books were linked to these personalities, to their activities, policies, achievements. It was as if there was nothing outside their lives that was important for us to know. The chronology of their lives marked the different chapter of the history of the British India. Can we not write about the history of this period in a different way? How do we focus on the activities of different groups and classes in Indian society within the format of this history of governor generals? When we write history or a story, we divide it into chapter. Why do we do this? It is to give each chapter some coherence. It is to tell a story in a way that makes some sense and can be followed. In the process, we focuses only on those events that help us to give shape to the story. We are telling in the histories that revolve around the life of British governor generals. The activities of Indians simply do not fit. They have no space. What then do we do? Clearly, we need another format for our history. This would mean that the old dates will no longer have the significance they earlier had. A new set of dates will become more important for us to know. Look at the figure 3. Warren Hastings became the first Governor General of India in 1773. While history books narrated the deeds of Governor General, biographies glorified them as persons and painting rejected them as powerful figures. How do we periodize? In 1817, James Mill, a Scottish economist and political philosopher, published a massive 3-volume work, A History of British India. In this, he divided Indian history into 3 periods: Hindu, Muslim, and British. These periodizations came to be widely accepted. Can you think of any problem with this way of looking at Indian history? Why do we try and divide history into different periods? We do so in an attempt to capture the characteristics of a time, its central feature as they appear to us. So, the terms through which we periodize, that is, demarcate the difference between periods became important. They reflect our ideas about the past. They show how we see the significance of the change from one period to the next. Activity: interview your mother or another member of your family to find out about their life. Now divide their life into different periods and list out the significant events in each period. Explain the basis of your periodizations. Mill thought that all Asian societies were at lower level of civilization than Europe. According to his telling of history, before the British came to India, Hindu and Muslim despots ruled the country. Religious intolerance, caste taboos, and superstitious practices dominated social life. British rule, Mill felt, could civilize India. To do that, it was necessary to introduce the European manners, arts, institutions, and laws in India. Mill, in fact, suggested that the British should conquer all the territories in India to ensure the enlightenment and happiness of the Indian people, for India was not capable of progress without British help. In this idea of history, British rule presented all the forces of progress and civilization. The period before British rule was one of the darkness. Can such a conceptions to be accepted today? In any case, can we refer to any period of history as Hindus or Muslim? Did not a variety of faiths exist simultaneously? In this period, why should we characterize an age only through the religion of the rulers of the time? To do so is to suggest that the lives and practices of the other do not really matter. We should also remember that even rulers in ancient India did not all share the same faith. Moving away from British classification, historians have usually divided Indian history into ancient, medieval, and modern. This division too has its problem. It is a periodization that is borrowed from the West, where the modern period was associated with the growth of all forces of modernity: science, reason, democracy, liberty, and equality. Medieval was a term used to describe a society where these features of modern society and did not exist. Can we uncritically accept these characterizations of the modern period to describe the period of our study? As you will see in this book, under British rule, people did British rule, people did not have equality, freedom, or liberty, nor was the period one of economic growth and progress. Many historians there refers to this period as colonial. What is colonial? In this book, you will read about the way of British came to conquer and the country and establish their rule, subjecting. What is colonial? In this book, you will read about the way the British came to conquer the country and establish their role, subjugating local nawabs and rajas You will see how they establish control over the economy and society, collected revenue to meet all their expenses, bought the goods they wanted at low price, produce crops they need for export, and you will understand the changes that came about as a consequences. You will also come to know about the change British rule brought about in values and taste, customs and practices. When the subjugations of the country by another leads to these kinds of political, economic, social and cultural changes, we refers to the process as colonization. You will, however, find that all classes and groups did not experience these changes in the same way. That is why the book is called Our Past in the Plural. Thank you.